Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope what's today? Monday. That's right. Today is Monday. And we're already in July. Guys, listen, we are 5 months away from 2023. Well, really, I guess six, five and a half, something like that. We are very close to 2023 already, family. Already, we are almost there. So, guys, do me a favor, hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Again, please hit that like button. But the year is we're already past the halfway point of the year. We are already past the halfway point of 2022, and it is going by fast. It has gone by fast. So, hopefully, you guys make the most out of your time, make the most of your time, and be productive and get stuff done because time flies. Goodness, it's already almost 2023. That's just messing with me. But do me a favor, hit that like button. Also share. Please subscribe. Tours. What? Your titles be funny as hell. I'm just saying. And we're gonna get into it. But guys, hit the like button. Shout out to Ivory Dreams, our AKA sister in the chat room. Guys, hit the like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. Tours. We're rolling to Nigeria next month. Oh man, already next month, August 8th through the 17th. August 8th through the 17th, we're rolling to Nigeria for the Oshun Festival. If you want to roll, hit me up. Again, if you want to roll, hit me up. Last but not least, Sierra Leone. Daniel, I got your email. There's really nothing out there. I was going to respond to that. Secure Brown on the plane, about to land in Lagos. Thanks for inspiring me, big bro. That's what's up, brother. Have fun in Lagos. Have fun in Nigeria. Daniel, there's really nothing there. Nothing you can really do unless you get married, find a wifey. Oh, you can't even do that. Yeah, because only the men who, yeah. So yeah, I can't do anything. But Sierra Leone, they have something for you. Again, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Tours, Sierra Leone, November 20th through December 3rd. November 20th through December 3rd. Citizenship is available to those who qualify. Again, citizenship is available to those who qualify. If you're interested in joining us in Sierra Leone, please visit Danfo, DANFO .Africa, Danfo, DANFO .Africa. And once again, if you're interested in joining us, go to Danfo, DANFO .Africa. Also, people are always asking, Dynast, where do you get these shirts from? Where do you get the gear from, Dynast? Where do you get the gear from? Well, here we go. ilamir.com. ilamir.com. Go grab your gear. ilamir.com. Come and grab your gear, family. Again, come and grab your gear. There we go. ilamir.com. ileamir.com. Come and grab all of your gear. Peace from the Gambia. Thank you for joining from the Gambia, Thumba. I appreciate you. We love you. I got to get to the Gambia. I need to get to the Gambia soon. I haven't been in a while. I'm always in Senegal. So this trip coming up to Nigeria, I plan on going to Sierra Leone. So after Nigeria, I plan on going to Sierra Leone. Then from Sierra Leone, I am going to Senegal. So I will definitely be in Senegal. So if you're in Senegal, family, I will be in Senegal probably around August 21st. August 21st, I'll be in Senegal. So if you guys are in Senegal, around that time, anybody who's watching this, if you're in Senegal, if you're going to be in Senegal around August 21st, let me know. Hit me up. Send me an email, and let's kick it. Okay, what's this? William Jr. What's this? Yeah, we'll love to have you. We will love to have you. Just got let's see, who is this? Shout out to Keith Williams, who's rolling to Sierra Leone with us. So let me check one thing real quick. Keith might be new. Nah, Keith's been on. Nah, Keith's already signed up with us. Shout out to Keith Williams Jr., everybody. For making his timely payments, installment payments to Sierra Leone. Again, shout out to Keith Williams, everyone. Appreciate you, Keith. Thank you. Thank you so much, Keith. I really appreciate it. And guys, you guys can, there's so many different options. There's so many different options when it comes to traveling to Africa. But I appreciate and love, shout out to all those who decide to roll with me. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Thank you so much. It means the world. I appreciate, once again, the support and the love. I really do. All right, let's jump right into it. What I'll do here in about 30 minutes, 24 minutes, 30 minutes, I will put the link in the chat room for you guys to call in to add to the conversation. And guys, listen, I'm not one of these guys that have this huge ego. If you have a differing opinion than mine, listen, no problem. No problem. Come on and share your opinion. This is an open panel. I try to keep it as open as possible. I like to hear differing opinions and different thoughts. I love to hear it. So, like if you don't agree with me, you're more than welcome to call in. That's why I rarely block people unless they're just being ignorant and stupid. Then yeah, you'll get blocked. But outside of that, man, if you got a different opinion, you're more than welcome to come on and share it. So today's topic: were Black people forced to sell slaves and cook dope? And we've talked about this before. When it comes to the crack epidemic, drug epidemic in the Black community, I keep the violence. I always hear this. Well, the white man had the planes. The Black man don't have any planes. The Black man didn't fly the dope into the communities because the Black man don't own any planes. It's the what else did I used to hear? Oh, the guns. When it comes to the violence in Chicago, well, the CIA, the Alphabet Boys, allegedly used to leave crates of guns in alleyways. Used to leave crates of guns in alleyways in the Black community. And I just asked the question. No, they're related, Daniel. They're related because it's a conversation of accountability. It's a conversation of accountability, Daniel. We're going to get into it. And I just asked one question. Okay, I get it. The Black people, we didn't fly the dope in because we don't own the planes. But for some reason, the stoves and the pots that we own or rented, we took that dope and we cooked it up. And then not only that, not only did we cook it up and turn it into crack, we distributed it and sold it in our own communities. Did the white man or the person, whoever this person is, whoever this individual was, who flew the planes, whoever flew the planes into our communities, did they force us to cook up the dope? That was my question. Did whoever owned the plane, whoever controlled the planes and flew the planes, and I guess put the dope in our communities, did they force us to cook it up and turn it into crack rock and then sell it in our own communities? Did the same thing with the guns? Same thing with the guns. Okay, somebody left guns in alleyways in the community. Okay, somebody left guns in the alleyways in the community. Whoever left the guns, we're just going to assume the white man. Did he force black men to pick up these guns, load them up, and start shooting and killing each other? That's just my question. That's the simple question I have. Okay, I understand. We don't control the planes. We don't control the planes. We don't have any gun manufacturers. But again, did they force us to take the drugs, go into our kitchen, the same kitchen that grandmama was cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and start cooking dope? Because the thing is, I know plenty of black men who came from these same communities that didn't do that. Again, I know black men, black women who came from these same communities that decided not to do that. So I'm not buying the whole, the European or the white man forced us to sell dope in our communities. I'm not buying it. Now, somebody brought up slavery. Brought up slavery. Okay, so here's the story. Here we go. They were opportunistic and fell for the okie dokie. There we go. We're willing participants. Same thing with slavery. We're willing participants. I'm tired of the excuse, we didn't know, we didn't have chattel slavery. It was indentured servitude. I'm tired of it. Because at the end of the day, the Home, these kingdoms, they could care less what our fate was when we were sold to Europeans, period. Because I doubt that when we were sold to Europeans, that the Home told the Europeans, like, hey, look, these are our prisoners of war. Make sure you take care of them. They're indentured servitude, or indentured servants, serfdom, or whatever you want to call it. Make sure they get their 40 acres and a mule. You know, what else? What else? What else? What else? Let's see here. I mean, what else excuses? Like, I seriously doubt that they gave the Europeans when we were sold to Europeans, that they just let them know, like, hey, listen, there's a difference between indentured servitude and chattel slavery. So here we practice indentured servitude. Make sure you take care of them, European man. Take care of them. Be nice. Respect them. Give them rights. Allow them to marry. You know, give them land eventually. Just take really good care of them, European, in exchange for umbrellas, guns, and alcohol. And just the simple fact that we were willing to sell human beings for guns, umbrellas, and alcohol. Listen, we can't be this stupid. We cannot be this stupid. We can't go around talking about how we built the pyramids. We can't go around talking about global green book. You need to hit me up. Taking a group to Sierra Leone. We can't go around talking about how we built the pyramids. We can't go around talking about how we taught the white man how to bathe because the white man was crawling on all fours in Europe, and we were taking showers, and we knew how to bathe, and they didn't. So we taught them how to bathe. We can't tell them. We can't go around bragging about how we did all of this, but for some reason, when the European came to Africa, we were willing to give him human beings for mirrors, umbrellas, rusty muskets, and alcohol. And that's the point I'm trying to make. That's the point I'm trying to make. Shout out to Frenchie for the 5. I think that's what, British pounds? Is that British pounds, Frenchie? I love you. Are you saying I love me? Are you saying you love me, Frenchie? I said je t'aime. Je aime, right, toujours. Are you saying you love me? Frenchie, are you saying you love me? I love you too, Frenchie. I love you too. Thank you for the super chat. Are those euros? Those aren't pounds? Okay, my bad. You sure? That's a pound. Those are pounds. Yeah, she said she'll love me forever. Okay. Yeah, I saw the love in there. I said I'll always love you. I love you too, Frenchie. So I got part of it. I got part of it. I got part of it, Frenchie. So thank you. I love you too, Frenchie. Biso, 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 bisu, bisu. Love you too. That's not a franc. That's a is that Frenchie. Is that a pound or a euro? That's a pound. That's a pound. Well, Daniel, listen. You could call in. Daniel, you're more than welcome to call in, Daniel. You are more than welcome to call in. See, I told you it was pounds. Somebody told me I was wrong. Listen. I know my currency. I knew it was pounds. Yeah, it was a pound. I told you guys it was a pound. 5 pounds. That's about $6. There we go. That's a pound. There's no. That's a pound. I told you it was a pound. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. If you want to call in, go ahead and call in. I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. If you want to call in, go ahead and call in. Yeah, we can't continue to live in denial. But listen, after all that, I love my African brothers and sisters. Africa first. Africa's the future. Africa is my home. No, the British pound is stronger than the U.S. dollar, so that's still like six. That's still like $6. 5 pounds is like $5.60, something like that. All right, go ahead, Elvis.
I mean, it's a good question, but are you getting me?
I hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying like it's a good question that you asked, but like I said earlier, it's all due to circumstances. I mean, when you talk about drugs in the hood or in the neighborhoods, it's about economic, opportunities. People are searching for it. It's a amoral way to get money, but it's a
It's
means to an
greed.
end.
It's greed.
What? It's not greed yet. It's greed when you
It's
have
greed.
enough and you want more.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's
Mm-hmm.
greed if you have enough and you want more. It's not greed if you have nothing and you want something.
But they
So
have something
it's
because the government subsidizes their living, so they got something. It's greed.
oh Dinus. And again, I disagree with people selling drugs in the neighborhoods and all that, but I'm saying for most people it's a means to an end. It's an immoral way to make a living, but it's a means to an end. And as far as slavery goes, I know we're this is predominantly a black platform, but I just want to take you back a little further than that. Who sold the Hebrews into Egypt? Who sold them into slavery? Or who sold them
That
into
was
slavery into
that's not a true
Babylon?
story. That never happened. There's no proof that Hebrews were sold into Egypt.
Oh,
There's no
okay.
proof.
All
There's
right.
no proof. That's the story.
All right.
No, nowhere in
So
Egypt is there proof that there were Hebrews in Egypt that were sold. That's just a made up story.
okay. So I'm guessing you're not a
Unless you can,
Bible believing person, huh?
unless you can prove it. Unless you can prove it, I'll be. If you can prove it, I'll be quiet. But there's just no proof anywhere in Egypt that there was this group called the Hebrews that were sold as slaves into Egypt. It doesn't exist.
And I guess that's subjective, right? People who believe in the Bible tend to believe it. People who don't would tend not
I
to
mean,
believe it.
people
So
who believe in the
that's up to
Bible,
you.
people who believe in the Bible think there's this Noah's Ark where you have rattlesnakes, vipers, tarantulas, king
So
cobras, lions, and tigers all on one boat. Like, I mean, it's just
I'm guessing you don't believe in the Bible then, right?
no, I don't.
Okay, so then I guess we'll probably differ on that topic. But the point that I'm trying to make is, or even in the Roman times, I guess you'll probably say it doesn't exist. But when he what do you call him, the he got these slaves from over in Germany and brought them back to Rome, Caesar, and brought I think the Vandals or some kind of group that he brought back into slavery. They're white on white. It wasn't Africans selling other Africans, but it was white people who was brought into servitude after a war. So again,
Yeah, but you can't. I think it's disingenuous when you compare the transatlantic slave trade to these other examples of slavery
what's
on the
different?
like
What's
this
different about it?
just the sure number of human cargo that was sold from Africa that went to go build the entire West from
You
Brazil.
know what was different? You know what was different, really, Dynast?
It's just and then also unless you could and then also you have Africans who are selling other Africans to white people by the millions. Like that's never happened before. By the millions.
You say it didn't happen in 1 year. It happened over a large amount of
Right
years over time, right?
over a large period of time, but you can't show me where something like this similar happened to another group of people.
And that's what I'm saying, right? The reason that happened is not because they couldn't stop it. It's like this: you have a continent that's, let's say, I can't tell you this, but it's been at the bottom of the totem pole militarily, right? We couldn't defeat the white man at that time. They had guns, something that we didn't have. They had ships, something that we barely had. So it was more of like, they had the power to enslave us pretty much, whether we wanted to or not. I'm sure there were white people who came on the shores and actually cut slaves themselves, and the black people was powerless to do anything about it because they had the weapons. They had
Elvis, what
means to
happened?
capture
What
ships.
Elvis? Let me ask you a question. What happened when Europeans showed up to Japan and also somewhat China? They showed up to Japan. Japanese said, "Get the hell out of here." They showed up to
Are you
China.
for, are you forgetting that the British colonized China? Are you forgetting that?
Yeah, but so after they colonized, well, they didn't colonize China. They
Yes,
colonized
it did. Yes, it did. You
all
know
the
about
power
the
They
opium trade
colonized.
when they colonized
They didn't
China and
colonize
took
the
Hong
whole.
Kong.
They didn't colonize the entire country of China.
They, they,
But you're the expert. I'll pass
okay,
that.
yeah, I'll let him speak on that because he probably knows more about it. Maybe he can shed more light on that than me.
Well, so there's a couple things I want to touch base on. The first is back to the Bible, and I think it's very important that we understand that you could be a Christian, you could believe in the values of the Bible, you could believe that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, but that's completely different from actually knowing and understanding world history and African history. Now, as someone who minored in religion during undergrad, there's a book entitled The Bible Unearthed that talks about how the narrative and the story of the Exodus of Jewish people, Hebrew people being enslaved in ancient Egypt was it's a mythology that was created to create a sense of national pride coming out after they were leaving exile in Babylon during the reign of King Josiah. Also, if you ever study early African history, you will find that there is no anthropological, historical, or archaeological evidence to substantiate such a claim. So I think that's number one. Second, many people as of my ilk, I would even include, but a dynast would argue that oftentimes what we find is that the Bible is a site of theological and, of course, historical anti-Blackness, because there is not only an omission of African history, but also a falsification of African history. So I think it's very important that we understand that as well. So now I'm going to shift to the conversation we're having about selling drugs. Now, some people, I'm not one of them, but many scholars would argue that there were structural conditions that led to Black people participating in what the selling and use of what crack cocaine, so on and so forth. Many people argue that this was due to what racial retrenchment that took place after the Civil Rights Movement. Some would even argue that economic disenfranchisement, particularly with the deindustrialization of what inner cities. I actually disagree or argue that Black people have to practice agency, be self-determining, practice the six principle of Kwanzaa, which is Kumba, and be creative. And we know that the majority of Black people, even during those times, still did not engage in selling drugs, doing drugs, and shooting each other up like we were. It was like a shootout at the OK Corral. So I reject that notion, because in any situation, you're going to have people who are seeking to do harm, and we have to have the wherewithal and, of course, the intellectual and mental capacity to reject that type of behavior, because we know it's ultimately racially disempowering, self-defeating, and, of course, self-destructive. And I think it really comes down to an issue of character, right? A man, in my opinion, of low character would turn to crime and criminality to put food on the table. A man of high moral character, if I could finish, doesn't turn to that. I remember I saw a sister on some show talking about, well, all the alpha males are in prison. And I said to her, alpha males don't have to break the law to make a living.
Exactly.
And then we have to look at the domino effect it has in the community. So you might make some bank. We know Tupac once said, hey, man, you made a G today. But he said, yeah, but you made it in a sleazy way, selling crack to the kids, right? And we know when criminality takes place in our community, there's something called broken windows theory, right? So you have a broken window in a community that leads to street level crime. Street level crime leads to what? Middle class flight. Middle class flight leads to what? Businesses leaving, and those businesses leaving leads to a lower tax base. So now our children have to go to what? Less underfunded schools. So it's a domino effect. So I'm vehemently opposed to Black criminality. Also, we know that during the civil rights and Black power movements, and I don't want to take up too much time, oftentimes the individuals that became informants and agents to take down many Black movements were criminals who were caught in compromising situations, and they used the leverage of going to prison for the rest of your life for 10 or 20 years to make them turn against the best interests of their people.
Exactly.
Can I ask you a question, and I'll let others come in. When you talk about the Bible and it omitting African history, we agree that Egypt was an African civilization, right?
This
That
is
was
correct.
included in the Bible. They talked about King Taharka. They talked about Ethiopia. That was
What is
included
the
in the Bible,
question?
right?
What is the
No, I'm
question?
saying you made a statement earlier saying that it omitted African history. Would
Yeah.
you agree that those were African civilization, and that was, those were kind of touched on in the Bible, uh
Well, so
in the
I'm
Old
gonna ask you a
Testament?
question. When I state that it omits African history, I'm gonna give you a prime example. In the Bible, you have a story about the Tower of Babel. Babel, Bufaloth, whatever you want to call it, right? And in the story, God was, the brothers laughing. God was so displeased with the people for trying to build this tower, this skyscraper that would reach the heavens, that he caused them to speak different languages, right? But during this very time, there was the Great Pyramid had existed, and it was the tallest building in the world for over 4,000 years. So once again, there is an omission of African history. I'm gonna give you another example of omission of African history. In the Bible, we're taught that this mythological individual named Abraham was the first person to believe in monotheism, the practice or belief in one God. We know that historically that's not true, because historically history shows us it was what? Pharaoh Akhenaten, right? So once again, these are examples of an omission of African history.
That when you talk about Babel, there was one person who was really pushing that whole Babel thing. Who was that guy?
I don't care if it was one person or 100 person. I just
It
gave you
was it was
examples of an
Nimrod, right? It was
omission of
Nimrod, and
African
you know how
history.
God saw Nimrod in the Bible. I mean, you said you study religion, so I'm sure you probably
Yes,
know
but what I'm
about
saying
the
is
history
there is an
of Babel
omission of
and
African
why it came
history.
into fruition.
What I'm
You
saying is
right?
the Bible states that the Tower of Babel, and we're kind of getting in the weeds on something else, but I'm gonna try to bring it back. It states that the Tower of Babel they were not allowed to build it because God took umbrage with them building a skyscraper that could reach the heavens. What I'm saying is that I find this to be disingenuous because at the same time, there was already a skyscraper that existed in ancient Egypt.
The pyramids? You're saying
Yes,
that Egypt was
yes.
before was before Babel, or is that what you're saying?
There were three civilizations in antiquity:
No.
Mesopotamia.
But
Well,
you have to understand that Babel, the Tower of Babel, if we want to call it that, it happened before Egypt. Can we agree
no,
upon? Can
no,
we agree on
no.
that?
Ancient, no, we can't agree on that. We cannot agree on that. We cannot, that is historically inaccurate. There were three ancient civilizations of antiquity. That was what? Um,
Samaria.
that was Mesopotamia. That was the Indus Valley in India, and of course the Nile Valley in ancient Egypt. But I'm gonna turn it back over to Brother Dynast.
Okay, for sure. Hey, go ahead, go back after. Go ahead, brother.
What's up, man? Donis and people there on the board. Hey,
Right.
I'm going to add to that, because as painful as it is, and I push Africa, and the history shows that Africans sold other Africans into slavery, and this is something that where I'm trying to, I'm in this chapter too of we have to own up to our own mistakes. We got to stop pointing a finger at the white man all the time. We have to take blame for our actions. Africa could have never been taken over if everybody was united in the fight. There is no way they would have ever got into the interior unless it was the help of the Africans. Do you know why? The Vietnam War. America could not defeat Vietnam. Do you know why? We could not infiltrate in the interior of it. Those Vietnamese were dug deep into the ground. They were dug deep into the jungles, and America took an ass whipping. Something as simple as these guys that are out there they were using antiquated techniques that we would have called strategic weaponry made out of wood, that you step on these traps that would go ahead and cut you up cut you up from branches falling out of the trees, or you falling into sinkholes, or there were holes they dug in the ground where they were able to surprise and attack the Americans. They could not even defeat an antiquated strategic military that America thought they can just go in and defeat. Now, how many years was that Vietnam War? So even with the muzzle, there's no way the Europeans should have ever overtaken the so-called continent of Africa. Now, when you start to step over into Tanzania and read their history, because there was slavery that also the Arabs came in and enslaved the Africans. Their history shows that there were those who sold out and were guides to go further into the interior, showing them how to get in, to take those who were weaker villages and weaker kingdoms or whatever, to get these people to bring them into that Arab slave trade. So yes, as much as it hurts my heart and I promote Africa, we have to own up to our own wrongdoings, because just like Vietnam War, or where there was the Somalia, when America was over in Somalia and got their ass kicked, and Somalia, when they took down the Black Hawk and all that right there by simple military weaponry. Africa, by the warriors like Ethiopia, never was colonized until they was able to get a foothold to get in, was because of the help of their own people. And this is right here where we have to admit that we still can overtake or keep out those who are trying to come in if it was a unified effort into keeping those from coming in. Now, weaponries have changed, but I still believe that Africa doesn't need the help of the European. But like Don, as you said, these little trinkets that they, now it's money. We give you money instead of mirrors, umbrellas, and all these little trinkets to go ahead and have the control. So yes, and time again, we're the ones who sold each other out. The drugs in the neighborhoods, that If the white men brought those drugs in the neighborhoods, I agree. Got to raise your hand. Yep, they brought them in, the guns they brought in, but nobody forced you to cook the dope. Nobody forced you to use the guns. It is us who are using these things to destroy our own people. That's all I got.
For sure. Go ahead, Missy Bottle.
Alafia to everyone. High vibration to every single one of you.
Ẹ káàbọ̀.
Ẹ káàárọ̀. Ìyàwó ńkọ́, ọmọ ńkọ́, àwọn aráalé ńkọ́, right?
Mo wà
So,
dáadáa.
wọ́n wà dáadáa, that's right. I think it is so simple to say that Africans sold African out. That is just that is the most simple way we can put it, right? But we're not thinking about the impact, what happened before, how this thing get started, right? We're talking about Africa coming against the most diabolical being, if you can call them. I don't even know what you can call these people, right? That, okay, for example, now, I am a daughter, or rather, great-great-granddaughter of people that fought the colonizer, right? During the colonizer, all the way to the end of colonizer in Nigeria. Abeokuta precisely, for those that understand that, Abeokuta, Ibadan, all those areas. My mother can trace a lineage all the way to Egypt, right? All the way to Egypt, to Ile-Ife, to Ibadan, where our family finally found themselves. Now, when my dad particularly is speaking, as my father, they wrote a book based on what happened to them during slavery. My dad started the conversation saying that though Africans have a type of thing you can call slavery, it's not slavery. It is like, for example, they have maybe 2 or 3 types. The one is, for example, if somebody owes you money and they can't afford to pay the money, they will say, let their family member come and work for you until such time that debt is paid off, right? Today, you will say it's slavery, but it was a setup the way the community as well as the neighboring country. So when the neighbor, give me 1 second, somebody decided to give me 1 second.
You got unmute yourself.
Let me add to that right there. You know, and she's making sense because what the story is that you commit a crime, or you owe a debt, or you
when you're done, just go ahead and leave.
Of war. You was put into this thing called slavery, but it's called paying off your time or your debt or your crime.
Exactly.
These were typically the people that were first sold into slavery. Go ahead, sister.
So let me ask you this. If I might be jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah, please go ahead.
But why the large amount of, I guess, indentured service or whatever? Why such a large amount? Why were Africa selling such a large amount of them to white people? That's the part where.
But remember, there is an issue here, though. You can't go to the big, whatever money, whatever silver, whatever that is, right? You're talking about over time, right? When you start talking about how when people start losing who they are, right? You start talking about memory being lost, right? Enmity has been created. Hatred has been created, right? So I'm not going to let my family member get to be enslaved. I will be willing to go to the neighboring country and capture those people, right? Capture those people and sell them to slavery. A lot of what happened to Africa, you can't just say they started selling each other. You have to start from the inception where this thing started, right? As I was saying, when different tribe or different side are fighting, right? Remember, they will capture what they call war, whatever, those people that they captured during wartime. It is how those started. All those people were then started being sold to slavery, or sold to slavery, however we're going to mention it. Eventually, the constant creating of enmity. Remember, initially, All Africans trade with each other. They travel among each other, right? In fact, you can say the entire continent of Africa is one. The idea of slavery break all those contacts among each other, and the longer the enslavement went on, where people are losing their memory. I mean, you have to understand the impact of what this thing did to us, the diabolicness of the people we're talking about, right? Where kings can be shot down and have his head cut off in front of his own people. What's going to happen? The rest of them will say, well, let's go to the neighboring country. They started begging, right? So if you have a prince that is fighting with his brother, he's willing to sell his brother out. You see, these people that enslave us, they are connected in their diabolicness. But we, because this type of demonic behavior is not African-centered behavior, we fell apart. And look at the way look at the way we deal with each other, right? Light skin, insensitive, black, darker skin, something, right? What is our reason from slavery to now, why we're still doing this now? It's because the enmity is now being embedded in our DNA. Something happened to Africa. Something happened to the darker peoples on the planet. If only, take for example, Brother Dynast, right? I didn't know that there is anything called that you can go inside of your brain and you can see all manners of colors in your brain. I didn't know about it. I didn't know anything about such a thing. These are things that our people lost. As all of us are coming back online, as our chakra is opening up, our brain is opening up, a lot of what we lost will come back. We have lost so much. The simplest thing is to say, why did they enslave each other? Why did they sold each other out? That is too simple. It is too simple in the event of what happened to the entire continent of Africa. My father was telling the story that it got to a point that women stopped having children, that women can no longer have children anymore. That was the impact of what happened to them during slavery, that it came to a point that people are going to the neighboring country to kidnap children to make us their own child because their child was kidnapped. You can't tell me that a mother wants a child to be kidnapped. That is the most simplest of ways to say they did this to each other. But you beginning, even within the continent, when you see people going to war, not to go ahead and sold another person, but to go and kidnap little babies to make their own. Right? And my dad talked about that the idea of women not being able to have children went on for generation and generation and generation. This is what we're talking about. But they will never tell you the impact of what that did to Black women, right? Even when we talk about circumcision for women is not African-centered thing. It was from these people that enslavers that brought that about, right? A lot of the behavior that we have now, a lot of our bad behavior, lack of connection with each other, this is from them. Now, the question is, are we going to continue, right? Are we going to continue and are we going to own up and say, okay, this happened. What are we going to do moving forward to make sure this never happened again? Because remember, I've said it before, after the end of slavery, after the end of colonization, instead of us as Africans packing our bag and rushing to every other country, the one thing we never came together to say is, what can we do to make sure this never happens? What connection break among us, right? How did we lose the connection? What happened? That conversation has never been had. And remember, what happened during colonization is beginning to happen again, where you have a lot of foreigners among us. And they already start, with the Fulanis, with the Hausas, with the Igbos, with the Yorubas, right? That if you think the Igbos are complaining about what happened to them at the end of colonization, right? This is at the end of colonization, is where you have the Civil War. And that Civil War is what everybody's been talking about, but nobody's talking about what actually happened 500 years prior to that.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Can we kick the Europeans out of Africa if they don't want to leave?
You can kick them out of Africa if you wish to, but for
How?
you to kick listen to this. For you to kick anybody out, are we one? You and I, can we say, can we say we're going to be African center first regardless, right? That we're going to take African first. The problem is, if you and I are together in one accord, is there going to be somebody that's going to be stabbing Africa in the back again?
The reason I asked this question is because, 1 second, please. The reason I asked this question is because, if Africa is united, and it's an all-out war, let's say like that. That's what I'm saying, right? We can't go to the United Nations and say, "Oh, we're being treated unfairly as a continent. We need you guys to step in and come to our aid." It's about power and power. Your power versus their power. Will we win that war? Will Africa win that war?
I believe Africa can win the war. In fact, not only I know that when push comes to shove, Africa has no choice, right? The question is this: are we willing to even try? And why are we Africans going to the United Nations to begin with? We are not part of the United Nations. What are we doing there? What are we doing there? We should have separated ourselves.
I say that because we don't develop our own weapons. We don't have factories that's manufacturing guns and nuclear weapons. We don't have all of those, weapons of war to defend our continent when push comes to shove. That's the reason I'm asking that question, because it was similar back then during slavery times.
Has something else that is greater than that. We have power that is greater than their weapon if we're ready to make use of it. The time that we're in right now, everybody's chakra is coming up online. Make use of the blessing you have been given. And then we need to stop many of the people that wants to become the so-called leader, many of them are coming from the place of fear. We have to get rid of the fear that we have of these people. Right? You have to go back within every single one of us need to start doing the work or start opening up this pineal gland. You cannot face your enemy physically if you can't face your enemy right here. You have to defeat your enemy first right here. And then when you face them, if Africa is ready, it doesn't matter what power, what weapon that they have, we can defeat them.
That's what I'm saying. How is that?
Hold on. Let's 1 second. Go Black. You want to add to it? If not, we'll pass it to Moochie.
Well, there are African countries that are part of the UN, and our sister, she hits on something that, if there were a collective effort of no espionage or traitors or those who would turn one another in, I believe Africa could defeat. But just like Elvis is saying too, as far as weaponry is concerned, Africa doesn't stand a chance to fight against. And their only plea would be to the world through the UN if there was this thing. Now, Mandela, his biggest struggle was trying to free South Africa from the white Afrikaan, which I'll be there in a couple of days down in South Africa. So y'all look out for me down there. But so he had to make some deals because the white Afrikaans that they call themselves were not going anywhere, and there was going to be a war that they were going to go against our brothers and sisters there in South Africa. So he had to find a way in order to make deals that everybody would be pleased, or at least find some way to end this whole thing that they called apartheid. So the problem we have is that there are so many of us who are on their side that we won't stand a chance of uniting and trying to make the continent just Africans.
Exactly.
All right, go. Well, let me pass it to Moochie, and then I'll pass it back to you, Lumumba. Go ahead, Moochie.
All right, thanks, Dynasty. So a few things. One, I want to say, I think the brother that talked about China, yes, the British did actually invade China, and that's why they ended up taking over Hong Kong and parts of Shanghai, and that's why you had a governor in Hong Kong.
But they didn't colonize all of China. They just got
No.
conquered.
I'm just saying they took over Hong Kong, and until about 2000, they were under the British protectorate. Okay,
Google.
so that's one thing. Okay, that's one thing, and then the second thing, it's wishful thinking. I think we do a lot of wishful thinking. The Japanese, they are one of the most homogeneous population in the world. They had a good military, but they got nuked to end the Second World War. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's history that everybody should know. So how in the hell is Africa gonna fight Europe or US?
You got my point, brother. You got my point right there.
It's impossible. We could not fight. If we want to fight them, then we should be building up our militaries. But guess what? If the leaders keep stealing money, they don't have time to build up the militaries to be strong. And remember, when you talk about South Africa, right? When South Africa got independence, they had a nuclear program going on. But they had to make concessions. They had to shut that down. Why? Because the Western powers could not trust a black nation with a nuclear arsenal. The same way they're doing with Iran. They do not trust the Persians to have a nuclear arsenal, right? But Israel, they allow Israel to have that. So, I mean, that's what I'm going to say. Then when I go to, this conversation about Africans selling other Africans, well, I'm from Southern Africa. I know it's partially true, but please, let's not make this look like this is an issue absolving Europeans. In any market, nobody gets to sell anything if there's no buyer, right? A market consists of buyers and sellers, okay? If there's no demand for anything, yes, some Africans they were complicit. You should say they were complicit in the trade. But the Europeans needed Africans because they needed labor in the Americas and all over the place that they were conquering. So we can't make it look like, Africans all one day just woke up and say, hey, Europeans, come over here. We need to sell some of our brothers and sisters so they can go over to America or to Europe or everywhere else. So I think we should just be careful to make sure that we apportion the blame.
But Moochie, were these different African kingdoms, were they forced to sell? I mean, the point I'm trying to make, the links that a lot of these African rulers went through to get a hold of other Africans to give to Europeans for pennies. Let me ask
you, Dynasty. If somebody came to your house and you had no gun and they had a gun and they say, hey, I'm offering you $20 for your son or whatever, you're part of your family. I mean, it's very difficult judgment to make, right? Because either they're going to say, wait. No. Don't be too simplistic, Dynasty. You can't just say because people make a decision and just make it so simple, like, they just casually sold. Sometimes you are given no option. We have to be realistic. The problem is you can't absolve people's bad behavior that want to trade in human beings and say, these chiefs were selling their people. These chiefs, sometimes people, they're under cohesion.
Mamuchi, this is the problem. It was going on for hundreds of years. And then I'm not saying the English or the French are benevolent, but there's countless examples of when the British or the French banded that, like in Dahomey, they were like, nah, y'all ain't stopping this. We're gonna keep selling these people. Even after the English and French said, nah, we're gonna ban it, in quotation marks. You have countless examples of different kingdoms, like even Elvis is from Liberia. When the American Liberians came, the slave trade was still going on, to the point where some of the locals were like, listen, we got these Black Americans who are free slaves that are here. We're still participating in the slave trade. Should we at least not be so disrespectful and kind of work away, like kind of not be so obvious? Port Crescent Massacre, I forgot the name of the king. He said, hell no, we gonna get rid of them and we gonna keep selling these Africans to these Europeans. So there's just too many examples of that. That's why
fine. So are you saying maybe you should say West Africans, not all Africans? Because you know what? When you say Africans, you're touching the whole continent. And I know for a fact, in Southern Africa, we don't have this history. We have never had this history of selling each other. I don't know about this history. And I talked to my grandparents, I've talked to many older people before, but we do not know about this history. We only got to know about slavery going to school when we started hearing about transatlantic slave trade, but we don't necessarily have this history. And I'm sure there are other parts of Africa that don't have this history. So let's not just say Africans were selling other Africans. It's not all Africans who did this.
Can I say something quickly? You know, I grew up in the States, and this is an issue that is a touchy subject for a lot of African Americans. And in middle schools, I was having these arguments with my fellow African, with other African American students in history class and so forth. You know, it's a similar situation with the white man and African Americans in this country. The white man always tell African Americans that your brother sold you into slavery, your own people sold you into slavery, to divert that blame from them, right?
Exactly.
So then African Americans go to Africa and say, that's true. You guys actually sold us into slavery. So it's always a point of division amongst African American and Africans. That's why people always ask this question. You go on YouTube, you'll see 100 videos about why does African hate African Americans. It's not so much that it's that the division between us is that exact question. That's why Diners asked this question a lot on this platform, and I noticed that a lot. And it's not new. I dealt with this as a teenager in middle school and so forth. You know, so if we want to get an answer to that question, I think that's where we have to dig deeper and understand. For me, my country, I understood my history. You know, during war, we capture enemies. Prisoner of wars. They capture our people, and in essence, 85% of the time, these people are probably going to be worked to death or probably killed. And sometimes they got the freedom. So I'm just going to look at it in a simplistic way. I'm going to kind of devolve myself from the humanity of it. But these people was looked at as valueless. They had no value in terms of monetary value. So when the Europeans came to Africa and said, well, I'll give you something for this thing that in your eyes is valueless. You're probably going to kill him. You're probably going to work him to death. I'll give you something for it. Now it has an intrinsic value that you can sell it for whatever you deem valuable. Whether it's like Daniel would say, an umbrella, a mirror, a gun, whatever you deem valuable, I'll give you for it. And again, that's wrong, but the value that was added to it, people now were seeking slaves to gain whatever they can trade it for that they deem valuable, whether it was muskets, whether it was spice, whether it was whatever that the white person could offer them. So that's my simple way of looking at it. I'll let other people chime in, but I just want to put my input in there.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Lumumba. Then we'll pass it to Mr. Ifalua. Go ahead, Lumumba.
I appreciate it. So, one, I just want to kind of go back very briefly with the conversation about Nelson Mandela. And I think it's very important that we understand that you can't mention Nelson Mandela without mentioning Winnie Mandela. Shout out to the Queen Mother. With that being said, we also have to recognize that the man Nelson Mandela was when he went into prison was not the man that he was when he came out of prison. I think 27 years would do that to anyone. But I think it's very important to understand that no man walks out of prison after 27 years and becomes president of a nation unless there's a script and a plan in place to make that man the so-called leader of the nation, right? But there was no redistribution of the wealth. This was all about removing the economic sanctions on the Oppenheimers and the De Beers, who are sucking, of course, the lifeblood of our people there in South Africa. So I think when we have a conversation about, of course, Mandela, we have to be more objective for what took place and understand that the man he was when he came out, of course, was not the man that he was when he went in. And of course, I've read his autobiography. The other issue is, I think, it's a twofold issue. I think, yes, there are white people who tend to promote the divide and conquer tactic by saying your brothers and sisters sold you all into slavery. We know that the reality of the situation is, as Dr. John Henry Clarke once stated, that there was no universal concept of Blackness or African identity at the time in the world. However, we do know we were complicit, unfortunately, in, of course, the enslavement, of course, of our people. The second issue, and I think this is very important that we understand, is that African people are only people who are blamed for their own Holocaust. We are only people who are blamed for the Ma'afa. All groups of people, unfortunately, throughout world history have suffered some type of cataclysmic event that has done irreparable harm to them as a people. But we are the only people who, unfortunately, are blamed for that. I've always given the example of the German Holocaust, when Jewish people had the Judenreich Council who worked in tandem with the Nazis to help them round up Jewish people and send them to concentration camps in an untimely demise. And so I just think that's something that we need to be cognizant of. I believe in viewing the history objectively, understanding the mistakes that we made and learning from them. But I truly believe that we have to also look at it from an intelligent lens and making sure that we're not blame holistically. There's some blame that goes there, but to not holistically blame ourselves for the atrocities that have taken place. We know that we played a role in this happening, and it wouldn't have been able to happen in the scale and number that it did. But I just think on a grand scale, we need to understand that, because no other people, unfortunately, are blamed for their own Holocaust the way we are.
Okay, I guess if Alua, he dropped off. Everyone, please hit the like button again. Please hit that like button. Let me bring on African Building. African Building, go ahead.
Yeah, hello, Dynas. Can you hear me?
Hear you fine. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, great. Okay, I just want to. I'll be very quick. I don't want to make any excuses about slavery, but the thing is, for some reason, Africa was, further behind in development than the rest of the world. Europe, the Arab world, Asia, they had all been trading together. I suspect that is because, certain parts of the continent were impenetrable at the time, and also our continent has been very kind to us. We don't have the kind of brutal weather that Europe and Asia and some other continents had. So we didn't have the kinds of ships, guns, and technology that the West had. So for all intents and purposes, we almost say we were still a relatively primitive society. Even our middle age, some people might argue that we had been in the middle age, but we didn't have as elaborate a middle age as some other societies. So I think that's the real problem. It isn't. Yeah, I think that's the real problem. I think that's why it happened. Because if it had been at par with the parts of the world, there's no way on earth we would have let this happen.
No, that's not what happened actually. I mean, Africa have been building empires long before these people came crawl out on their falls. I mean, it was African that civilized them. So we so
Yeah, yes, Ma. I know we had some things going for us. I'm not disputing that fact. And these things are delicate. I'm not taking anything away from our societies. I'm very proud of our culture. But the truth of the matter is we hadn't been sailing the seas and going about to other continents the way the Portuguese, the Europeans had. And honestly, not that elaborately as they had, and honestly speaking, we had no need to do it because we have everything here. Our society, our climate, our our climate, and our land is very fertile.
Musa,
you understand what I'm saying?
If I could, Mansa Musa came to the throne because his older brother abdicated the throne to go explore the Western world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and many people argue the reason why Black people circumnavigating the globe isn't as well known during the Middle Ages the way white folks are. It's because when we showed up, we didn't come to conquer.
Exactly. I mean,
I'm not saying we didn't have anyone out there. All I'm saying is that we, as elaborately as they had, we just didn't have. We weren't going to. Did we go to Japan? Perhaps we did, but we weren't trying to colonize societies and things like that.
Look at this,
I'm not taking anything from us. I'm saying.
Listen. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. There is not a place that you go in the world that you don't have a Black person already there before. In fact, the entire planet belongs to us, right? We are the original people. were the only human
I know,
being,
ma.
right?
I know,
No.
ma.
Listen to this. Listen to this. In fact, what happened is slavery stopped African continuous progress. So the idea of slavery stop our progress. That's what slavery did to us. And slavery is not just a slavery, that is an act of war. And I think that's
Hmm.
how people have to look at it. It's not just slavery. They didn't come to get lazy people. They came to get builders. They came to get engineers. They came to get kings. That's who they came to get. They didn't come to get somebody that can build anything, while at the same time, they're telling you that you're a monkey, that you're nobody, right? But the real monkey are calling you monkey. The real dogs are calling you dogs. You are the one that civilized them. You are the one that shows them how to use water. Till today, they still hate water. They still poison water. So black men civilizing these people it costs us a lot of backwardness. You should have left them in the cave where they are. They will have died off naturally. Till today, we're still trying to sleep with them, still trying to see the humanity in them that they cannot see in us. That is what we have to stop. For us, let me tell you an example of a little thing that happened. The microcosm, little two of what happened. So I came to the state of Maryland, right? And I was going to school full time. I decided to get a part-time job, right? Just to think about, just look at this little thing that happened and look at it in a bigger space, right? So I said, let me go and get a job because I have a Class A license as a truck driver. So I went to go and get a job this place, and a couple of black people are there. I found a sister, very intelligent sister. All of us were talking about all this black stuff. If you see us, you will think all of us are ready to go for war, right? We talk non-stop. We talk about white folks non-stop. I mean, we left our job, we're still talking about it. We come back, we're still talking about it. She was the one that introduced me to the ISIS, the High Smile Inheritance. That's how wise the sister was, right? Now, another two brothers joined us. Now it's four of us. Oh, if you see the four of us, you would have think that we can conquer the world. Guess this. One single white man came among us. One single white guy. The first time he showed up, I saw him started dishing out an assignment. And I said, I didn't say anything the first time, but later on I said, is he the supervisor or something? Oh, they said, no, he just got hired. So I went off. I said, hell to, it's not additional assignment for me. So I show up, and I said, why you did? No, I don't want to do that. So I started getting pissed off. Everybody's saying, just let it, unless somebody make him a supervisor, he's not going to tell me what to do. So do you know what this guy will do? In order for him to tell us what to do, he will get to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. The job is not starting until 8. He showed up 2 hours early. Eventually, one day all of us we are all in the same car. We're going to Pennsylvania, right? So everybody he's the one driving us. And I don't like a white man driving me. And in fact, I don't like white people driving me because I believe that he may decide to kill himself and kill us all. So I am always aware of this stuff. You understand me? So he asked me so I get behind him. That was the only place left. 3 people in the back. Another brother is sitting. So it's 5 of us, right? And it was a small car. And I was so concerned I don't want to get into the small car. So I said, let me get another car. They said, oh, no, we can all do it. So I joined in. I get in there. So I get behind him and I said, he pushed the seat all the way back. I said, you need to move the seat forward. If you move it forward, it can still have space. He said, go ahead and spread your leg. He said, I said, I just went off. I said, tell your mama to spread her leg. I just went like that. I just went from 0 to 100 and I started attacking his wife, his mother, the entire family. So my black family, remember, we have been talking about these things. We can conquer this little foe. None of them, all of them started telling me to be quiet, especially my sister that showed me the book. She's now against me. She said for me to be quiet, you know. I said, hey. So I told him, I said, you miserable motherfucker, if you eat that wall, I'm going to strangle you before you get there. So I started going off, and I said, I know what you're about to do. If you do it, you know. So I insult him all the way till we get to where we're going, right? Do you know me not allowing him to get away? Because when he says spread your leg, I know what he meant, right? Even if I didn't know what he meant, maybe it might mean well, but I already ascribed something else to it, and I'm sticking to it. From that day on, I was isolated among my so-called, and these are FBAs. So from that day on, everybody has become Americans, and I was the only foreigner among them. From that day on. Now, all of them come together, and they will dish an assignment. In fact, it get to a point where if we're going to go to Pennsylvania or some other places, I will not know where the assignment is, what the assignment is. Those are my people that joined that. So that's what happened to us as Africa. When these people come among us, it doesn't matter how together you guys can be, they can engineer. And one of the things he first of all did that I stopped him was he liked to listen to Rush Limbaugh.
I got a question for Dynast and Go Black to Africa.
And I said, you will not listen to Rush Limbaugh at all. And that's how you can see the way these people affect us, even in a small space and in a bigger space.
Missy Barra, I have a quick question for you, Missy Barra. I have a quick question for you, Missy Barra, please. And if you can answer quickly, okay? I'll give you a scenario. Right now in Africa, there's a lot of foreign countries that are coming to fish off our coasts, okay? And stealing a lot of fish, billions of dollars every year. This is practical, okay? Why? Because we don't have the maritime, we don't have naval equipment, we don't have enough boats to patrol our oceans, okay? So you tell me now, take this 200 years later from today, the kids will be saying, why were our people letting these foreigners still fish from our fish from our seas, from our coast? Can you please tell me, since you say we are so strong, you say we are so strong and you give this fantasy picture of our continent, why are we allowing the foreign countries to come and steal the fish from our coast?
Again, right? If you have traitor among you, if you are those who are willing to, sell off, among us. So it is the citizens themselves have to start speaking up. You can't wait for the government to do everything. The government, many of them have been bought. They are there. They fear for their lives. It is going to be individual citizens that needs to come together and start doing community meeting. What we are doing right now should be taking place in Africa. You should already start isolating what you guys are not going to take. It is sometimes we don't need anybody to tell us. All of us know what is right, what is wrong. If I step on your toes, I know I should apologize, right? If I steal from you, I should know that I should not do it, right? So what is it that we need these people for, right? If the citizens themselves, if you leave everything for the government, if you leave everything for all the foreigners, there should be no way that China should show up in Africa and find their life so easy like that. We should be going to inside their houses. We should know what they're doing. We should know every single corner. But we're not challenging all these people, right? Can the police stop you if 100,000 citizens show up at the border and you cover the border? Can they kill 100,000 people?
Missy Barra, please be practical. The citizens cannot have a navy. The citizens cannot have a navy out in the ocean, okay?
But
please wait, Missy Barra, wait. I let you speak, Missy Barra. Can you wait, please? Can you wait? I let you speak. Can you please wait?
Right.
Because if you start answering before I finish, makes no sense. Okay. Please, with all respect, due respect, the citizens cannot put ships out there in the sea, okay? Our leaders, they still put on their suits and pretend to be smart and say we are strong and this and that, but they don't do what is necessary. The thing, what I'm just trying to highlight is, you know what? Let's not live in a fantasy world. Okay, I agree. The citizens should advocate. But if the leaders don't do anything, well, all this China, all this Russia, all these people, Japan, they're coming and they're stealing the fish for nothing. right? Because we are
Can I
not.
say something real quick?
Yeah.
Well, no, let's do this. Okay, let's do this. Mr. Barry, you can respond. Then Elvis had a question for Go Back to Africa.
Again, what we are doing is we're coming from a place of weakness again. You can do something, I can do something, get 10 of your friend, I get 10 of mine. Everybody start get 10 of your people, right? Are you saying we don't have enough carpenter, we don't know how to build ship, we don't have engineers, all those engineering students, all those universities? Are you saying we can't come up with anything? Right? Are you saying that I'm saying that us as an African, that we're going to ignore the government, that we're going to guard our country? Are you saying we can't do that? Are you saying that we cannot go ahead and gather to find that how many foreigners in that country? Citizens themselves can do all this if we decided to stay as one. What they expect us to be is to always talk from the place of powerlessness. For as long as you keep saying that all those people have all these things more than you do, then there is nothing we can do. Go ahead.
No, let me, before I even ask my question, I just want to say what the brother Muchi was saying is true. The number one military power in Africa is Egypt. You think if there's a war going on in West Africa or South Africa against a European country, Egypt's number one military contributor is the United States. You think they're going to come to our aid? The Arabs are going to come to our aid to fight on our behalf against the United States or Britain? Of course not. But let me ask my question to Dynas and go back to Africa. Who do you blame more for slavery? The black Africans who were complacent and took part in selling other Africans to Europeans, or the Europeans who, perpetrated, the worst kind of slavery in the history of the world? Who do you blame most?
I'll let Go Black answer. Then I'll read a quote, well, paraphrase a quote from a book I'm reading called Barracoon, which tells the story of the last slave that was actually a Yoruba man who was captured by the Home, sold to a white guy in Alabama. And I'll give you his response. Go ahead, Go Black.
Yeah, I think that there is a two-way street when it comes to any type of mission to be accomplished. And to say there is one that's more responsible than the other, I wouldn't say that. But what I will say is that there were two parties that were involved initially. Now, according to the history that I know, that there was a pushback from the Africans when that they begin to realize that this thing that in their mindset, slavery, as Sister Abera was saying, that was beyond than what they expected it to be. That you could work your time off, you will eventually have your freedom, that they saw that this was an ongoing thing forever, that then the Africans pushed back on that. Then all of a sudden, when the greed started coming in for more slaves, that's when the Muslims started really to be pointing back at these kings, if you will, and even enslaving their own people. And so that right there, in a sense, was now where it was dominated by the European and forced on to the African by force, that slavery was able to last as long as it did. So I think that the initial blame was on both sides, but it was the slick of the hand. The evil that be, as Sister Abera was saying, that the devil, comes, is crafty, it's slick. And they come with shiny mirrors and, gold little trinkets. I don't even say gold trinkets. They didn't even know much about gold, but it was really showing things that they didn't have. One, alcohol was a playing factor to keep you stupid in your own mindset while you stay drunk. Your mind is focused off of what's really going on. When you sell Christianity or some other religion to people to keep their heads down, praying and believing in some form of a God or whatever that they say, it keeps you in a mindset of stupidity where they begin to overtake your continent or your country or your people. So the blame goes on both sides, in my opinion, and what I know from what I have learned.
All right, and so Elvis, so I just finished listening to this book, Barracoon. I've been to Africa Town, which is in Mobile, Alabama plateau. This is where the last of the slaves were pretty much dropped off at. So he said in this book that he was hurt by the white people that bought him, but he was even more hurt by the Africans who sold him to the white people. That's what he said straight out of his mouth. He said he was just shocked that it was Africans who sold him to the white people. Like he could, like he said, he couldn't believe it. You know, and this is a firsthand account. This book right here. I was discussing this book yesterday because when brothers like me and Go Black to Africa, whenever we come on here and we give, well, it's not really our narrative, but when we give the narrative, and then you have people that would say, "Oh, you sound like the white man. That's the white man's narrative that you were sold." I'm like, no, I'm in Dahomey, Kurd Day, Benin every year, and I'm getting this from the locals. I've been to Abome. I've been to King Gezo's palace, where the Amazons and King Gezo live, along with Francisco de Souza, who was the largest slave trader when it comes to the transatlantic slave trade ever in the history of the slave trade. Like, I'm getting this firsthand from them. So
and this
that's
also too, Don. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, go back.
Excuse me.
Go
I can say the word sorry.
Go ahead.
You know, Ghana has already admitted their play in the slavery. This is the reason why the land of Asebu was given to the diaspora, the African descendant of slaves. That this 5,000 acres, the initial 5,000 acres was one means of a reparation because of their acknowledgement of their play in the slave trade. And some other chiefs and areas in the land of Ghana are recognizing that and are trying to rectify or trying to compensate in some form to those who are coming back. As if you well know, Ghana has this thing of a right to return. And so that initiative also is one thing that they're doing in order to try to make things right, that we have to at least give our brothers and sisters a right of return without this complicated effort of giving them citizenships or residencies that right now, as we speak, that in their bill that they are very close to what I'm hearing is that it will be in the rights of any African descendant of slave to come back to Ghana and get your citizenship. So yeah, it's open, it's admitted that they did play a part in that.
Let me
go
ahead, K-Pac. We've been waiting, then we'll pass it to Lovely. Go ahead, K-Pac.
I'm sorry. Thank when it comes, go back to the original.
K-Pac, your connection's breaking up. Go ahead.
Oh, can you hear me?
Mr.
K-Pac. Yeah, go ahead, K-Pac. No, your connection's breaking up, but go ahead.
Okay. I don't know if you can hear me. But basically what I was saying to you guys make a very valid points. I love this conversation. This conversation is, this kind of conversation that can go on, for a long time. Going back to the original question, the slave trade and the atrocities of what happened here in America with African Americans, is really through conditioning and manipulation, and a lot of different factors. But when you think about it and you boil it down, two major things you see throughout history when it comes to Europeans and the conditioning of Africans and African Americans is basically.
Yeah, his connection's acting up. Let's go ahead, Lozy.
I have a quick question for Go Black.
Let's pass to Lozy first, and you can ask your question. Hey, Lozy, what's going on in Soweto?
Okay, thanks, Dynasty, and I'll greet everyone in the panel.
Lozy, I was asking, what's going on in Soweto?
Oh, bro, there was shootings in a tavern, like a tavern here. About 14 people were killed by about 5 gunmen who just walked in with rifles and
have they found a motive? So, guys, sorry for changing the topic a little bit. Have they found a motive yet, or I'm asking, have they found a motive or anything?
I don't know. It's still early, but they've caught about 2 of these people, so they might get information. It's still early, but I saw the news that they've catch 2 of them. Okay,
go ahead, Logan. What's your question?
Okay, no, nice topic, Dynasty. I like. I'm getting obsessed with your streams all that these days. And I'll like to greet Go Black to Africa there. You're welcome to South Africa, brother, when you travel. I would like to look at to engage in this. But yeah, I learn a lot on this channel. But I think what happened in West Africa, because it also happened in Central Africa and also East Africa, I think it was more of a geographical disadvantage. What West Africa and Central Africa suffered was more of geography. Because if you look at the North and the South, we were more invaded with the aim to settle. The invaders wanted to settle in the South and the North, whereas in the Central and West and East, the approach was different. They were basically looking for people to build America in the West, and the Arab slave trade in the East. So I believe the Africans did play a role in trading with their own people. But I think to find out why they did that, it's very important, and how that played. Because when we talk about these things, we talk as if this happened over a 1 year or the whole thing. It took many years. So what happened is that they studied Africa before. They had to study Africa, get the information, study our tribes, and study the warfares we had among ourselves. And remember, Africa is home to most tribes in the world and oldest tribes in human history. So we had with so much tribes, we had so much warfares going on. Not to say Europe didn't have wars. They actually are more tribal than us, but they had ambition. So by the time when they came with the plan to take from Africa, they studied us before. Probably some social engineering went down as well. Because what kind of value did they have to exchange to convince other Africans to sell their own people to them? It's either it was done in a gunpoint where they could invade and kill, or the other kings sold other people to save their own tribes. That too could have happened. But if they were getting so much from the Europeans, West Africa will have so much to show. The fact that today's West Africa is not having much to show, it shows what happened actually. What happened is that the other kings sold other Africans to save their own people, because if they didn't, they could have also got invaded and they were going to take their people anyway. So I believe that really happened. And also this religion, organized religion was used as well to also for social engineering. If you look at Africa today, we are actually suffering a lot because of these religions. They played a huge role in indoctrinating our people to accept certain things. So you look at Islam and you look at Christianity, these things must be kicked out of Africa. They played a huge role in putting our people to the position that we find ourselves in today. Thank you.
All right. So this was my question for Go Black. Not a question, rather a comment, and to hear his opinion. And you too, Dynasty, right? So first, my comment. As Black people, we are very, very good talkers. We like to talk a lot, but with little action. Okay, and then when we challenge each other,
is that in Liberia?
Wait. So, Mr. Go Black, I have an idea. Okay, we have built a momentum of people that are Pan-African, right? Both Africans like myself living in the US and African Americans, right? And people in the Caribbean all over the place. So, how about we always comment about the people that are coming into Sierra Leone and all these places from the Arab world, taking over businesses, hotels, and all this. You and Dynas are promoting our people visiting Africa, right? How about we can start a fund? I'll be the first one to put my money down. Okay, if we need $1 million, okay, $1 million US, if there's 20 of us with $50,000 each, okay, I'll put my $50,000 down. I'm Zimbabwean. I'm from Southern Africa. Okay, I'll put my $50,000 down. 20 of us will make $1 million. If you guys want to lower it down to 25,000, that's 40 of us. Just 40. 40 people with $25,000. That's $1 million. We go either into hotels, real estate, whatever we can. We on the continent, and we can begin to see the supply chains. We can get into the US to supply goods from Africa. We do whatever it is. We gather. We brainstorm what industries we can get into, and we can consume. Our people, when they come into Africa, they can consume what we are producing or the services that we are providing. This is a conversation I would like to have with you, Go Black, Dynasty, and the people in the channel. I would like to see people in the channel hit one if you think you'll be in. Okay, we create a company. And then we put let's aim for $1 million minimum. Okay, so like I said, if there's 20 people, I'm willing to put $50,000 down. Okay,
who's gonna be your supplier? Where are you gonna get your goods from?
No, you talk about that. That's something like the initial business will be to set up stuff in Africa. Let's set up hotels or real estate, whatever it is.
Yeah, because that's not the thing that makes the most money in Africa. The thing that makes the most money is imports. Things that is imported from other countries.
I went to business school. Wait a second.
One mic.
Wait a second. I went to business school. Okay, so
one mic. Are you saying
okay? Yes.
Are you saying that hospitality is not big in Africa? Are you serious, Elvis?
Are you asking me for somebody else saying that?
No, I'm saying that again. Maybe I'm just only looking at my region and maybe not other countries.
What region are you in?
Well, I'm from Liberia, right?
Liberia, okay. There's many countries. Liberia is not a big tourist place. There are many countries.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I realize it because
Elvis, let me interject. But Elvis, it was because remember Hotel Africa, the Dual-Core was like what, the first 5-star hotel in Africa, the largest. Same thing with Hotel Africa. And what happened, Elvis? That's another show.
Let me please make a point real quick.
He asked me a question.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me finish. Okay. I said we'll brainstorm. Okay. I went to business school, my brother. I'm not just like talking from the street. I went to business school in the US. Okay. I have an MBA. I have a finance degree. Okay. So I'm saying I don't have all the answers, but I'm saying we sit down, we brainstorm, right? And see the conditions on the continent. Which areas can we? The whole continent is our arena, right? So we'll find out which places are the best for business, right? Then we begin to set up things and structures, and then we can, hey, we're in business. When the people come down, they say, hey, this is a hotel for the diaspora, for the blacks and African diaspora. This is a supermarket for African black diaspora. There is a lot of business here in the US, my brother. We can go into the supply chains in the US, whether it's Walmart, whether it's they actually like minorities to be suppliers because we are not always in business. There is a lot of stuff that we could bring from Africa in here. But all I'm saying is we will sit down, all of us as an investment group, right? And then we begin to do something about business instead of just talking every day. Otherwise, we won't do anything. The problem is we need to get together. None of us here, maybe a few of us might have $1 million in the bank, but the point is, if most of us don't, so let's pool resources and then let's work towards the Pan-Africanism that we are preaching and talking about every day. So those in the chat, put a 1 if you think you will be able to put up some money down for an idea like that.
Muchi, let me ask you. So your drive is to establish a diaspora business just for the diaspora, or just anybody like locals?
No, I'm African. No, brother. I'm African. I have a U.S. passport, but I'm African.
You have to let him answer. I want to hear from Go Black to Africa. I think he has something to say. Please let him answer.
I'm just trying to make sure before I answer. I'm trying to understand, what is your drive? Are you saying that there's not enough African businesses that we need to start a business to compete with the Chinaman, the Lebanese, Indian, because there's just
Yes, exactly. To compete against the Lebanese and all these other people coming on the continent. But if you are one person and you have $20,000, you're not going to compete against them. All right. But if
let me say this right here. Let me say this right here. There's a lot of Africans who's got huge hotels, especially here in Ghana, that is on a 4 or 5 star level. That's in Ghana, that's in other African countries I've been to, that are owned by the local people who got money. So I mean, so look, huh?
So are you trying? So you go Black again? Okay. You know what? Maybe okay. So
I'm trying to understand what you're asking?
So you know what? What I'm saying is, because we're talking about unity, right? We're talking about Pan-Africanism, right? Okay, so you're saying there are people with money, those are individuals, right? But so if we can't gather together, if we can't group together and come over there to do something, so I mean, what's the point? Because you know what? Okay, unless maybe some of us just want individual success. That's how we're gonna measure everything. All I'm trying to say is to challenge people to say, can we use these platforms that we are talking on, right? To come together. If you know American companies, right? They have to issue, when they issue stock to go on the stock market, they take a lot of investors, right? To put money up for new business ideas, right? There's venture capitalists, there's all this. So all I'm saying is one person, two people, you cannot do something on a grand scheme. All I'm trying to tell you is, for example, if I said I put 50,000, if there's 100 of us, that's $5 million right there.
And
That's
and
capital
that's the
accumulation.
thing. That's the thing right there, Muchi. That's the point I was trying to make earlier. The thing here is, you are empowered because you came to the United States. You left Africa, came here, got an education. You're probably making a decent, decent money now. So you're now empowered to be able to go back to the continent and start a business like that. But
My
those people
family is
who are
business.
on the continent right now, those people who are living in Africa, like I know my country the best, so I speak on it most. Just for example, just to free a container from our Freeport is like 5 grand. To release that from the Freeport of Monrovia is $5,000, right? So having a connection, a person to compete with like a Lebanese or Indian in Liberia, you have to first have the connection to whoever, maybe in China or Taiwan, or wherever you're going to be sourcing these goods from to bring it back, whether it's food, merchandise, or clothing, or whatever. You first have to have that connection, and then you have to have the capital to
My
to
brother,
be
that's
able
what I'm
to
telling
to,
you. That
and that's what I'm
Guys,
saying. So
hold on,
most
hold on,
people,
hold on. We off top. We do another show on this. We can
right?
email each other offline. But Al, go ahead, Al. Let me go ahead, Al. Al. Okay. All right, Jughead. Go ahead, Jughead.
Dynas, welcome, brother. Welcome, Elvis. Go back to Africa. Welcome, brother. Go back to Africa. Welcome, brother. Mitchell T, welcome from London. Alan, welcome. Africa, welcome. And Losey. Yeah, the topic of today's discussion is quite contentious. I've read the comments so far regarding, by the way, I'm Black British from Nigerian heritage, so I'm from Go Back because I've seen your channel many times, and it's a fantastic channel. And I've commented on your page several times. Yeah, welcome, Sister Ibarra. Welcome back, Sister Ibarra. Yeah, I'm also a Pan-Africanist from Nigerian heritage. That topic that does present is very contentious. I mean, we sell each other. We definitely captured Africans without that. That's a fact. But it was Arabs involved, the mulattoes as well. There was a period in the 1500s when the Portuguese were coming around Africa, West Africa, learning what's the word, intel, getting information, and then taking black to West Coast Islands, raping them. The offspring, they were selling you. I think they were called the Lanquanos or Lanquidos. There was a term for them. They were called the mulatto offspring, the Portuguese sailors, the raping black women off West Africa. They was the main seller. It wasn't just black people. So we'll tell when we sold you. That's not true entirely. We captured you, but the Lancanos, the mulattoes, wasn't like Barack Obama, Kamala Harris. That phenotype, they were the main culprits in this, in my opinion. The offspring of the Portuguese sailors, the red black in West Africa. Now regarding what you were saying to Sister Ibarra about saying that she's unrealistic. I agree with Sister Ibarra. It's disgraceful that people from Japan, Korea come to our waters, West Africa, and fish. You say that we can't stop them, but that's not true. Sister Ibarra was correct. There's always why more of us got an Africa put up funds together and start building ships and sail and drive them out. You don't need a big navy to do it. Yes, we got to stop being defeatist, much. We got to stop being defeatist. Sister Ibarra was correct. You can't be saying, "Oh, stop being realistic." Well, if it continues, there'll be no Africa left. Because the way that China bought land in Africa, by 2050, there will be tenants around land. So Sister Ibarra was correct. We've got to stop being defeatist and start acting because all this talk, we've got to be realistic. I hate when people say that. That's being, to me that means being defeatist. No, Sister Ibarra was correct. So not being defeatist. You got to stop making excuses and man up and be strong because this can't continue. It's an insult. People coming with Japan, China, fishing up West Africa. That's an insult. That's a disgrace. And that's why these African leaders, they're a disgrace too. Mr. T, I'm not attacking you, Mr. T. I'm just saying that these African, we're holding feet to the fire. Sister Ibarra is correct. These African misleaders are a disgrace. They're selling us out now. I don't know what happened in the past, but what I can see now in 2022, African misleaders are selling us out big time. They're selling us out. Forget the past. They're selling us out now. You allow Mum Africa to be resource raped. What's happening now is resource rape, and they're facilitating it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Let me calm down.
All right, go ahead. AfriSoap TV, go to AfriSoap TV. Unmute yourself.
Hello, greetings everyone. Can you hear me?
Greetings.
Yeah, we hear you just fine. Go ahead. Guys, do me a favor, 1 second. Guys, do me
Yeah.
a favor. Hit the like button.
When
If you're
I
in
hear the
chat,
discussion of slavery,
yeah. Hold on 1 second, AfriSoap. Guys, if you're in the chat room, please hit the like button again. Please do me a favor and hit that like button. Or go ahead, AfriSoap.
whenever I'm in Ghana anyway, I'm a Ghanaian. So whenever I hear the discussion of slavery, and it's often done by, and let me just say, our cousins in the diaspora, it often seems like there is somebody who is always trying to push a blame on Africans or immediate Africans or their cousins here in Africa. And as a young African, I myself, I thought slavery was something that might not even be connected to me. So when I took the 23andMe test and I got to find out that I'm having all these cousins showed up in America and in the Caribbean and somewhere in Southern Europe, it just paints the picture that it's not as far as we think it is. Like it's not that big. Like seriously, but I believe that I lack a lot of information when it comes to what happened on this continent. I believe colonialism has a role to play in that part of the history not being told or passed on to us.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I just wanted to know this, that if you live in a diaspora, you know your immediate ancestors were the enslaved. Just know the fact that they were coming from families, and these families that they came from, some of them they might have been missed. And also, if it is true that all of our ancestors in the past, right, they are sellout, they are inhuman. If it is true, then just know that you also have a sellout gene inside of you. Yeah, just know that you also have that sellout gene inside of you.
And listen, AfriSoap TV, that sellout gene in America, from COINTELPRO, the sellout that sold out Fred Hampton and the Black Panther Party, and the ones who were informants
William
and
O'Neill.
sold out MLK Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we definitely know that sellout gene is in a number of us here. No problem. But we definitely know that. Go ahead, AfriSoap.
Yeah, so definitely, all of us are dealing with the same things that we have to deal with, And at the end of the day, I'm reading about things like black tax because I'm communicating with some of my cousins. Some of them are planning visits, and I'm learning a lot. I believe that they need to come and bring some of these information to us, so that even the history to us, so that we know where we are currently in the world. I never knew that things that were done to Black Americans, or especially Black Americans, I never knew that actually most of them seem to be like experiments, like black tax.
Yes.
Some of our parents over here also were taxed by the Queen. Even throughout the Victorian era. And when I got to see all these silver coins with British sterling and all of that from the Gold Coast era, it just paints a picture that you don't know, that you experience it first. They use you guys as just as an experiment, but over here is where the big deal is. A lot of peasants over here, right? Nowadays, because of the economy, when they meet you right now, they want to go to America or whatever, or some of them will be like, I would like to even be a slave in America. Somebody said it last time. I would like to, because they don't know the history. Yeah, I would like to be a slave in America than to be here free in Africa. There is nothing like that here. But at the end of the day, it's because we lack the history in America, lack the history of our people in Jamaica, and I believe that those things needed to be brought forth into our curriculums here in Africa. I don't know I don't know whether the West plays part in our curriculum, but I do know they have these global, whatever call it, UNESCO or whatever framework but they still need to do something. about our level of ignorance about things that happened in the past to our let me just say great grandparents. Anyways, that's all I want to share.
Can
All right.
I say something about that?
Yeah, go ahead. Then we'll pass the artifact of war after you. Go ahead.
Okay. You see, when we're talking about slavery, and then you can talk about everything that happened in slavery, one hand up when they come back to colonize Africa. We're talking about a group of things that are unrelenting in their demonic behavior. The reason why they've done what they've done to us, they knew who we are. At some point, we started forgetting who we are, right? But they are unrelenting in their abuse. You take, for example, in Congo, where 10 million people were slaughtered, right? If you see some of the picture of what these people did, that thing caused our people to start having memory problem where they just want to live their life. They don't want to go through, they don't even want to remember what happened. So not telling us about colonization is many of them trying to forget what happened. If you see, I saw one picture where a group of women were lined up, right? All of them were lined up. When they were lined up, you have the white man that shoots through one head and the bullet went through the rest of them. These are the people we're dealing with, right? The largest people that were taken out of West Africa, especially the Yorubas, were taken to Brazil, right? You hear the word Brazil today, but Brazil, that thing is actually a tree. It's the name of a tree that were cut down during slavery to get rubber out of. They walk those people to the ground. So the next time a black person says, or an African person says, what are we going to do? We're so powerless. We don't know what to do. Those are your ancestors that were building nation all over the place. Those are your ancestors that built this country. Now, those are your ancestors that were taking that built Brazil, that breeds all over the place. Do you know how demonic these people are? When they take them out of the boat, right? They have to walk them. You know, many of you have heard about the corridor, the tornado corridor, where the corridor is. The reason why they call it tornado corridor, this is where they walk our ancestors, and they will put a chain on their neck. As they were walking them, their neck, their head were cutting off from all the bruising, and they keep walking them until they get them to the Caribbeans and all those places. What happened to black people? What happened to Africans? In order for them to survive, to be able to live up to the day to tell the stories, many of them have to practice deletion. Isn't that what we do today in our own relationship? Your wife is talking to you. You pretend, whatever she's saying before she even say it, you already practiced deletion. You didn't hear what she said. The next time she say, oh, but I told you about it. You say, oh, I didn't hear. These things is part of our now epigenetic memory. The idea that somebody is talking to you, you already forget about everything. The idea of helplessness is already is in our genetic memory. It is our duty now to say, we will not let what happened to us happen again. You don't need to know a lot of history. You just need to know one history. What is it? That somebody took your forefather, raped them, enslaved them. Somebody took your foremother, raped them, enslaved them. That is good enough for me. You don't need to tell me anything anymore. I don't need to know how it happens. What I need to know is to make sure that never happens again. That is your job, to say anybody, black, that does not look like you will never enslave you, abuse you, rape you, that you will not participate in anything that destroys your ancestors. That is your job. That is your responsibility. The planet of Africa belongs to us, right? The planet belongs to us. Africa belongs to us. Wherever we are in the world, if you are in the US, this country belongs to you. Now, there are people that were enslaved. It is our job as Africans coming in to show love to those who are in this hell, those who are still being killed, raped, those who felt like they need to take off their pants and have their private part cut off in order to live in this society where they will not be abused. It is our job to show them love. It is our job as Africans to say that though we may not know what is happening to Black Americans, but at least that now, the age of internet, you can hear what happened to George Floyd. You can hear what happened to Jay Walker. Do we need to know so many history? What is all knowing all these things? What has it done for us? What it's doing for us is making us helpless. What I need each and every one of you to do is to pick up a course. Is it going to be on behalf of Jay Walker? Is where you will say, I will not let this happen again? Or the little young boy, 4-year-old, that were killed? What is it? All of us in our own individual life need to start practicing love, harmony, justice, and righteousness among us. And when you see other Africans, and I'm not saying just Black Americans, other Black-looking Africans being abused, it is your responsibility to speak up, regardless of what country. If we do that, we can change a lot of the dynamics within the next few years, right? One Africa, one voice, regardless of where you came from. Saying that Africa sold us, that's not going to get us anywhere. It has happened. It has happened. What are we going to do about it? What I'm doing about it is saying, let me tell you how I decided to do about it. I said, I will never lay down with anybody that doesn't look like me. I said, any member of my family that lays down with anybody that doesn't look like them, I'm going to disown them. That's what I'm doing. What are you doing in your own life to say we're going to be Black first wherever we are in the world? Right?
For me, my question is, African Americans who were sold into slavery, have they forgiven Africans for selling them into slavery?
Yeah, I'm over it.
So,
I'm moved on.
all right. So that's the question right there. So if people can come together and reconcile that tragic past, that ordeal that happened between Africans on the continent now and the diasporans who were sold into slavery, then maybe there can be some healing and then some collaboration, later on down the road. But my point here is, I think it all boils down to money. Economic empowerment is the key, to Africa moving forward. And when I say some of these things, people think I'm trying to, go for being. People like to use the word Negro pen or whatever they call it, but I'm giving people the actual reality on the ground in Africa. That's why you see a lot of Africans wish to travel to Europe or America. Is primarily because of economic reasons. So we can't even compete in our own countries because the economies are so bad, and we have to come here, spend at least 10 or 15 years, get economically equipped, and go back home to compete. So when I say these things, it's not like we can just sit there and compete with Lebanese who are coming from other countries, or Indians who are coming from other countries with some level of capital that the native who are working in Liberia don't have it. And Nigeria would be a good point because they have a lot of oil, they have a lot of economic empowerment, in other rich African countries. But countries like Sierra Leone, Liberia, small African countries who don't really have oil, especially oil, because you can have other natural products, but they're not going to bring you that same kind of money like oil will bring you. So that's my biggest thing. So when I'm speaking about this, I'm speaking about it from a practical standpoint, where I see it in my country, I see how it goes, and it's all about money. So if you need money, you have to almost come to the West to get money. The U.S. dollars is not an African currency. I just want to talk. I want to ask you a question, quick, Dennis, before I get off.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. If you
Yeah,
can
I'm
make it
sure
short,
you
I
heard
understand.
about this maybe about a couple of years ago. There was this whole talk about Africa having, I think maybe it was just West Africa having a one currency. I think it was called like the Echo or
There you go.
something like that. And I think we
There
were
you
all excited about it. And then boom, it just fizzled out. You know, we have to have our own money because we're chasing the US dollars. Everything we do, we're trying to chase this dollar. We come here for the dollar. We sell out, we sell our people out for the dollar. We're chasing this US dollars, and we don't have our own currency. So I think that's the problem right there. Well, go ahead,
Okay.
Donis. You're saying something.
Let me pass the artifact of war, and I pass it back to Jughead. Go ahead, artifact of war. Unmute yourself.
Salute everybody on the panel. Thank you, Mama, Sister Ibarra. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for everything you do, everything you say. Thank you for that. Um, I would like to touch on a few points here, and I will start by taking a small example. Let's say you are at the dinner table at your house, family with kids, and you have flies, around the table, battering and getting into, your happy meals. And at the same time, you have a hyena in one of the bedroom. Are you going to take care first of the hyena, or are you going to try to chase the flies away? Because we know that the hyena brings in the flies. So the biggest danger is the hyena. So you take care of the hyena first, and you worry about the flies later. So
Exactly.
this is what is happening here. We tend to blame ourselves all the time, and we tend to forget the real enemy, the real oppressor, the real enemy here. So we have some cleanup to do within the family, between African American and Africans. We know we have some problem, we have some issue to solve. We're going to clean the dirty laundry within the family, but for the time being, let's not get distracted by the strategy of the enemy. So that's very important there. And then the next thing I wanted to touch here is, according to the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken in his speech, according to the European nations, the European Union, I should say, Africa is their future. Africa has all the ingredients for them to survive. Their survival depends on Africa. But lately, I've been hearing stuff coming from brothers and FBA ADOs saying that we should go away, they should dissociate themselves from us. So if the survival of Europe and America depends on Africa, but it's hard for me to think that the survival and the future of FBA and ADOs doesn't depend on Africa, because Africa, with the right people in power, should be able to sanction and put embargo on our natural resources until the reparation for our brother are paid.
That's it.
That's one thing that they tend to forget. So we are in this fight together, and we gonna fight together. So we cannot dissociate from you guys. We have to unite, and you have to get what you deserve. And with the right people in power in Africa, you will get it. You will get it. So we need you guys to bring enlightenment to our people, because a lot of Africans did not have good interaction with the white man. But you know better who they are because you've been living with them. You know what racism is. A lot of Africans are not exposed, are not living in the same environment with Black people, right? So we have to share knowledge together. We have to share our experiences together in order to conscientize the youth, because the youth is going to take over. We are getting old, but if we do not teach the youth, everything we have done is going to be in vain.
That's it.
Right? So we have to make sure that the youth is being conscientized. So we have to teach the youth. Earlier, we had a brother who was talking about putting money together and doing some projects. That's something that my little group, we are already doing. We are only putting every month $3 a month. It's not going to hurt my expenses, my monthly bills, right? So we put that small amount for people not to be hurt by the burden of contributing to a project. $3 a month, 1,000 people, is 3,000. And with that money, what we're doing, we are teaching the kids in Africa on the American continent. We are teaching them.
Good.
We are telling them about their own history. We are telling them what they can do, what they are capable of doing. We are teaching them to love themselves. We are teaching them to give priority to someone who look like them. A Chinese would eat in Chinese restaurant. A Chinese will buy stuff in Chinese store. A white man will go eat mostly in white owned businesses. We are the only people who are just, we don't have anything and we just go all over the place. You know, so we have to learn how to prioritize our own dignity, pride. We have to teach that to our kid, you know, so that at a very early age they are aware. And whenever they see a white man around them, whether it is in the African continent, they have to be aware. They have to be focused. They have to be careful, because they are not coming to Africa to give away candies, to give away a bag of rice, free food, or free this or free that. They're coming there for a reason. History taught us that. They have always been coming for Africa for interest, for resources, right? They are not just coming there because they love African. History told us that, you know, they are coming for those things, okay? So those are the little things I wanted to talk about here. So let's not lose the focus. We know what the real problem is. We have to work on it. And individually, we have to teach people around us. You know, when the kids are out of the school, you know, we can talk with them. We can read a book. We can read a book talking about slavery. We can read a book talking about colonization. You know, we can read a book talking about self-pride. Love yourself. Love, you know, someone who looks like you. Give priority to someone who looks like you. You know, so those are the things that I think we should be focused on, and we should hardly work on it. So thank you.
All right, cool. And let's do this. 1 second. Let's pass it to Jughead and to Theo Nero, and then we're going to start closing out a little bit. But go ahead, Jughead.
Thank you, Dennis. I promise I've calmed down now. Yeah, back to what you said and Elvis Morris. Yeah, I mean, what you see is correct. We have to come together economically, but stop putting a bad head on a decapitation. The bread problem is the misleadership. See, until we get rid of these traitors, these cowards at the helm, we move at a snail's pace. That's the key problem. The misleadership. They facilitate the resource rape of Mama Africa. Until we get rid of them somehow, I'll be calm because I don't get down to these platforms. I'll keep my language. I don't say it's illegal or too incendiary. Not because I'm scared, because I want to down to this platform. So these misleadership, we have to worry about focusing on them, get rid of them. Once we get rid of them, get men of integrity, men like Mohamed Mossadegh, Sankaras, Winnie Mandela's, not Nelson, Winnie Mandela's, Steve Biko's at the helm, then our progress will accelerate. Because right now we've got cowards in charge, cowards and retarded traitors. That's a problem, Dynast, Mr. T, Sister Abara, Artifact of War, and Trudero. Regarding the Elvis Morris' question about African Americans and diasporans, forgive Africans, if Africans gave, we did celebrate, but we did capture. We owe you land. That's a fact. We owe you as well. We owe you reparations. If Africans gave diasporans land, that would be great way to hit the hill. But the traitors in charge aren't going to do that. That's why we have to remove them first. Once we remove them, everything will change like that. It's the misleadership. That's the problem. The misleadership. They're cowardly, they're retarded, they're treacherous, and they have to be removed. Somehow, I don't know how, but they have to be removed. Once we get good leadership in charge, then our progress will accelerate exponentially. Let me calm down.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I'll ask Dynast.
Let's do this first. Let's do because Theo's been waiting. Let's pass it to Theo, then I'll answer the question. Go ahead, Theo.
Yeah, I've been waiting a while. All I'm saying is the South African brother had some good points. We need to be more capitalistic, you know? I think my problem with Pan-Africanism is the communism element that's in it. You know, we got to think big business.
Hey, Theo, I've completely, so Tony Lemelu, who's the CEO of UBA, United Bank of Africa, United Bank of Africa, he has the concept of Afri-capitalism. So that's what I've adopted.
Yeah, we learned, we get all these good. The West is filled with a lot of bad things, yes, but there's also a lot of good things. Like we could use capitalism to bring Africa to the next level. Like I believe in like putting my money where, you know, I could put it towards land, but I got to make sure the people are trustworthy. You know, that's another thing too. You know, there's a lot of scamming with our people. But I believe we should not necessarily forget about slavery, but it happened, right? We know why it happened. Our people do bad stuff for money, and back then it was guns, because if you didn't have guns, your kingdom got taken over. You know, simple as. So I don't really blame Africans. What I'm saying is what we could do today. What can we do? Because Africa, there's something there. If it wasn't nothing there, the Chinese wouldn't come, the Arabs wouldn't come. You know, the economics over there is not as developed. So we could be the ones that could, you know, get an opportunity out of it. Because America is getting harder and harder. We're getting priced out, you know. I see it.
And you know what, Theo, you're exactly correct. And here's another thing that I'll throw out there, right?
Please, let me ask my question real quick, and then I'll turn it over to you.
People don't actually realize that, like me, I can fix a meeting at the State House through my family connections. Okay? Fix a meeting at the State House, not for coffee, but if you have a genuine business plan and you say, hey, what are the contracts that are out there, government contracts that we can get into, but to do legitimate work, to do good work, not for bribery, chicanery, or no. I believe in ethics. Okay, I believe in ethics. I've worked in banking and government here in the US. I believe in being ethical, not just to do anything for profit. All I'm trying to say is we have an advantage as Africans that the people who are leading Africa right now, they are our brothers, they are our cousins, they are our relatives. We can get into those spaces, but you can't get in the space with 5,000 when you're complaining about a container that needs to pay tax for $5,000. When you bring a container, you have to pay tax. In the US, you pay tax. Everywhere in the world, you have to pay tax. So our people, you have to have a business mind and realize that nobody would respect anybody who is not self-sufficient. If you want to talk all the crap and still depend on the government to pay for your housing, to get food stamps, you can talk to forever and say the white man this, the white man that. It's not going to solve any of your immediate issues until you die. We need to understand
those programs. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we need to understand.
Those programs are good, but they keep you at one level. That's what they don't tell you. Like you.
My point. Yes. Those programs are good, but that should not be your aim. Your aim should be get out of. You should not depend on anybody. When you depend on anybody, they disrespect you. Do you know how the government employees work for you?
My question here is, one second, Michu. My question here is, can Africa, as it is right now, save itself? Or do we need the diaspora as a collective to actually really save Africa and raise us?
It's an opportunity for the diaspora, bro. The Chinese. Hold on, Michi. Hold on. Let me get something off my chest. The Chinese are going there for a reason. Mr. Chin doesn't go nowhere unless there's money there.
So what's your point? Right? You said, can Africa save itself? Of course.
Yes.
But so what's your point? The point is that the thing is that Africa, if the expertise of the diaspora, right? The expertise that has been built.
That's the point that I'm getting. Hey, Michi, that's the point. That's the point that I'm getting to right now, and that's my question I wanted to ask Dynast. That's the point. Hold on. Let me get this out. That's the point that I'm getting to. I ponder over this a lot, and I understand that the expertise, you know, the education that the diaspora has, especially here in the United States, you know, it's measurable. So we definitely need them on the continent to contribute. So my question to Dynast would be, Dynast, if you were to be negotiating with an African government, let's say for African Americans, for example, what's your terms? What would you guys want in return to say, okay, you guys, we wronged you, we sold your ancestors, we're sorry, we want to make amends. What can we do for you? What can we do to appease you? What would your answer be, Dynast?
I mean, I'm kind of over past that point. I just want to do business in Africa and build. Like,
Nobody.
Yeah, I think once we come over and start producing, I mean, the government will come to us.
And don't come with the slavery talk. Don't come with the slavery talk. Don't
like
come
that
with
lady from the UK that's in the Gambia. I forgot her name. She Jamaican too. Like the Gambian government hit her up because they saw what she was doing.
Exactly.
And don't come with the slavery talk, okay? We all the guys who are in charge in Africa already know we are related. If you come with this slavery talk, trying to make them feel guilty for anything, you will not get anywhere. Especially if you talk about Southern Africa.
Go there and do business.
Listen, I have to agree with Mucci. He has a point. He's
Don't
correct.
do that. Don't do that. They don't have time for that. They don't have time for that. They have so many pressing issues.
The brother is.
But Mucci, we owe them land. We owe them land. We owe them land. We owe them.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, if you get some free land, take it. Why not?
Who are you speaking?
Take it and
on behalf of? Who owns the land?
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let's pass it to Musi. Unmute yourself, Musi.
Yes, hello, greetings, Prince Dynast. Thank you for this panel. I always enjoy your shows. I also want to just acknowledge all the panelists. I unfortunately I wasn't able to, hear the whole thing. I've been on for going on an hour, so I missed the beginning. But I did want to add, well, first of all, Brother Mucci, you are 1000% correct. He said something about self-sustainability, and Prince, I don't know if you remember, but I've been saying that this whole time. We need to be in a position, and we need to get ourselves in a position, not only as African Americans, but also as Africans, because we are one family. Now, we have some branches, we have some tribes, we have language groups that are different. I believe that most of the Negroes that came over here are Bantu, or from the Bantu family, from sub-Saharan Africa. You do have different African groups. So we can't be naive and think that we're all one big happy family. There are going to be some tribalist some differences, okay? However, going back to Brother Mucci's point, not only here in the diaspora, but also on the continent, Africa gets no respect because we keep putting ourselves in positions of subservience, okay, and dependence, when Africa has no need to look outside for anything, okay? We need to put ourselves in a position to support.
It's just, and then also.
Okay, we need to get ourselves in a position where we can sustain ourselves. And let me just, we're moving into a period where the governments of most nations are going to they're going to, due to upcoming famine, okay, due to upcoming famine because of this whole pandemic and all these, the war in Ukraine and all these other things, we're moving into a period where the government is going to make it impossible for us to be self-sustainable, okay? That's happening in America as we speak, and that's going to happen eventually in Africa, which makes no sense to me because Africa is the breadbasket of the entire world. Okay, but they're manipulating a famine. They're manipulating things to where we are going to have to look to our government for sustainability. Africa is one of the few places, and they're going to do this through technology. Okay, they're going to do this through the AI, through the blockchain, through the technological grid. Africa is one of the few places, it's actually the last place probably on this planet, where we are going to be able to go into the bush and go and hide, okay, and be able to sustain ourselves outside of this technological grid, which is coming by way of China. That's the only reason why China is in Africa, is to build this technological grid to account for the movements of every man, woman, and child on this planet. Africa is going to be a safe haven from that, okay? And so everything we're talking about right now is only going to work in the short to medium term, but in the long term, I can assure you, this technology is going to be is going to enslave us. Everything that Africa is looking to and saying is so wonderful and great about the West is going to enslave the West. Because as I speak, Africans are actually leaving the West to go back to Africa because they understand what I am saying. So back to self-sustainability, Africans and African Americans, we need to get some land, grow your own food, okay, learn how to source water, learn how to harvest and harness rainwater and make it into drinking water, okay, and basically live out in the bush, okay. And when I say live out in the bush, I don't mean in the literal sense, but just away from the prying reach of the government, because that's where we're heading within the next decade. Mark my words. Thank you.
Okay. April Tate, go ahead and unmute yourself, April. And then we'll pass it to Missy Barra, and I'll bring Miriam on. Go ahead, April. Unmute yourself.
I just want to thank everyone for the conversation.
Hey, April, you're real low.
And I just want to add to it that, hold on. Can you hear me now?
It was better the first way you had it. It's worse now. Okay. Miriam, go ahead.
Hi, I want to say hi to the panel, and I appreciate the conversation. But I just want to add that we shouldn't have a one-prong approach. Like, I like the idea of starting businesses and everything, but we should also approach maybe after-school programs for the children, and like it has to come from all the sides. Like, it can't be just one-prong approach. That's all.
Okay,
Did you
Jughead,
hear
want
me?
to say something?
Okay.
Yeah, I heard you. Jughead, you want to say something? Jughead?
Yes, thank you, Brother. I appreciate it. Thank you again for the third time. Yeah, Sister Messiah, if you're still there, we're not Negroes, okay? There's no tribe in Africa called Negro. That's the Portuguese word. We're not Portuguese. So please, I say we're not Negroes. That's the Portuguese word. We're not Negroes. We're not dead people. We're living Africans. We're not dead people.
Exactly.
And thirdly, Sister Miriam was correct, but I'm also about Africa being the future but living in the bush is only temporary master. We don't want to live in the bush. We want our land back. When the Arab squatters removed from Africa, those Arabs in Libya, Algeria, Kemet, Tunisia, they're squatters. Those whites in Kenya, Zimbabwe, Azania, not South Africa, Azania, they're squatters. They must come out. Let me calm down a bit.
What do you mean squatters? What do you mean squatters in Zimbabwe?
I'll tell you. Those whites in Europe, in Africa, who told them to come there? Did we invite them in there?
Oh yes, I agree with you. I thought you were talking about us, the black people. Okay. All right, brother. We're together on that
one. If I may,
April. Go ahead, Missy Barra. We'll pass it to April. Go ahead, Missy Barra.
So I again, every single one of us, as we're rounding up, we have a responsibility to ourselves. We have a responsibility to keep our memory in line. We have a responsibility to our ancestors, and we have a responsibility to the next generation. Even at the point of death, we have to show discipline. Even at the point of death, we have to show courage. The people that enslave us, they don't have any, they are not courageous. They appear animals. Anybody that can put another man on top of a tree, burn them up, and then start fighting over their private parts, I have no respect for them. Anybody that can go ahead and lay down, after laying down with human beings and lay down with monkey, dogs, cow, snakes, I have no respect for them. They are not human. Stop dealing with them. Stop moving with them. Our association should be just that, temporarily. They have nothing. They can't civilize us. They can only regress us. Us following them is making us committing abomination. It is an abomination for us who are supposed to be a leader to start following those who just got here yesterday. They still have a lot of growing to do if the universe permit them. They have been rejected by the universe. They've been rejected by the sun. Anybody that is rejected by the sun, I have no business having anything to do with them. Black people, you have to start thinking about this. When was the last time that you pick up any poison to put in water? These are people that poison water in large numbers. And they did that saying that putting fluoride in water will make your teeth whiten. Instead, it weakened us. Tell me who does this. They put several injections in your body. My mother's father lived to be 110 years old. Up until the time that he died, he never went to the hospital. My mother's mother died at 99. She never went to the hospital. My mother is airy, as I understand it. Only when she came here that she has to have a knee replacement. My mother is not on any medication. Can any of us who was under the age of 50, a little bit over 50, said that there has never been a time that you don't need to be in the hospital? Many of the problems that we are having now is because we're doing something that is out of our nature. When you see another black man passing by beside you, make a prayer for them. You don't need to see them downtrodden. When you see another black child, when you hear that something is happening somewhere, this is our tongue. Our tongue has power. Our tongue is a share. With this tongue, stop using negativity. Do not accept defeat. If you're going to go down as a warrior. If you're going to go down as a leader. That's how I'm going to go down. I'm not going down any other way. See you guys later. I love you all.
Let's do this. April Tate, and after you, April, will close out. Go ahead, April.
I just want to say I appreciate this conversation. And I just wanted to add that I would love to see us get away from this idea of individual success. I see a lot of that as an American, that it's all about individual pursuit, when I really do think we need to work together and get away from the blaming of how we got here. And that's really it.
All right, cool. Yeah, so listen, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, search for who. Peace.